So let's see if you can notice a pattern here. I am more suspicious of adjectives than at any other time in all my born days. Carl Sandburg. Mark Twain. If you catch an adjective, kill it. Stephen King. The road to hell is paved with adverbs. William Zinsser. Clutter is the disease of American writing. We are a society strangling in unnecessary words, circular constructions, pompous frills, and meaningless jargon. It's like all these writers hate words, but specific kind of words, needless words, but especially several classes of words, adjectives, adverbs, and jargon. I call them the usual suspects, and this is lesson number 3. Now remember, we're looking for words that use up more in attention than they deliver in meaning. And this is almost always true with adverbs. So let's have a quick look at them. The road to hell is paved with them, after all. But what exactly does that mean? Well, that's an adverb of meaning, actually. And as you can see, we're not going to lose any of the meaning of this sentence if we do this. What does that mean? Essentially, it means you can never use the word essentially ever again. I mean, at least not in writing. So an adverb is a word that modifies a verb, and a group of words that modifies a verb is known as an adverbial clause. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about grammar on this next slide, but don't let that trouble you. Just know, as a good rule of thumb, if you find a word ending in ly, you should delete it first and ask questions later. The almost universally evil adverbs of manner. These are words that explain how something happens. He quickly ran inside. They end in ly, and while it's almost always better to do without an adverb if you can, adverbs of manner are almost universally bad. But they're everywhere, and they're everywhere in the first draft. I have a whole ebook about this, but it boils down to this. If you've used an adverb, there's a shorter way to say it. And basically, an adverb means that you've used the wrong verb. There you go. Now, don't freak out when they pop up in your writing, especially in early drafts, because this happens to everybody. The difference between okay writers and really good writers is the delete key. Like this. Ran quickly, ran away, ran slowly, ran awkwardly. You have all these great verbs that you can use. Sprinted, fled, walked, stumbled. The reason adverbs are bad is they introduce a terrible imprecision into your writing. What do I mean when I say I really like you? Or really like you? Or really like you? It can mean so many different things, and since we don't have tone when we have the written word, we have to be a bit more precise, vigorous with our choice of verbs. Mr. Twain's advice: killing adjectives. So here's some marketing copy. In fact, very bad marketing copy. Now, all I'm going to do is selectively kill every adjective and adjective phrase that I come across. If you want to pause it and take a stab at this yourself, it might be a good time to do that. If you don't have time, well, just, I don't know. Let's bask in some magic here. Now, when we do this, we can start to see at a core logical level how inane that paragraph really was. Let me hit some highlights for you. Lines make for silhouettes, colors, and material, and even the layouts themselves establish the standards. And integrated features. Which raises the question, how can something be a feature and not be integrated? A disintegrated feature? It's utterly meaningless. But I have a very simple way to fix this entire paragraph. Just delete the whole damn thing and replace it with a picture. Because if all of those things are true, you're going to see them right here. And if they weren't, well, those words aren't going to fool anybody, are they? Words certainly do have a part to play in selling this boat. And were this my assignment, I might tell the story of the insane amount of craft that went into the design and build of a single part of it, like a handrail. And then have the reader realize, wow, if they were that dedicated to the handrail, how great must the rest of the boat be? But I would use as few adjectives as possible. Now, part of the reason I view language the way I do is that I've spent a lot of time writing things like this. The boat of choice for supervillains and secret agents alike. Is this the finest headline ever written for terrifyingly expensive watercraft? No. But in a choice between even that mediocre headline and this timeless essence paragraph, well, which stirs more emotion in you? Let's quickly look at another example. Extended discussion of an improved and more robust mission statement that is aligned with the basic God, this is just awful. I think I lost an IQ point by reading it. But if you have a moment, once again, pause the video, identify all the adjectives, adverbs, and jargon. Come to think of it, maybe if you have 2 minutes. There's a lot going on in here, and not much of it is any good. Okay, so here's what I cut. Discussion of a mission statement will require sessions with the participation of representatives from all departments. So I read this whole phrase here as an adjectival phrase modifying the mission statement. It's an answer to the question of what kind of mission statement. It's orange. It's an orange mission statement. No, it's not. It's a mission statement that is aligned with the fundamental business objectives of the organizations. Yada, 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 yada. So I cut all of it, and here's what I boil it down to. Everyone should participate in the development of a new mission statement. I think you can just come out and say it clearly. And when you do, it implies that everything's going to be above board. But when you use a bit of jargon like full transparency, well, I mean, perversely, when somebody speaks to me about transparency, I kind of assume that they're covering something up. Just like if in the middle of your dinner party, one of your guests stood up and said, "I am not a thief." Really? Not sure why that's relevant at this exact moment, but now that you mention it, I will certainly be counting the silver before I hand you your coat. You could also make the case that I shouldn't have cut facilitated out of the original piece. It's an adjective, but it's important. I mean, it does convey some meaning here because it suggests that the group can't talk it through on their own. And having done a great deal of this sort of facilitation and work with companies, I can say that's probably true. A facilitator might be useful. And an admission of the need for help is a fundamental step to getting this done. Which is an argument to say that that one word adds more in meaning than it takes away in attention. Everyone should participate in the development of a new mission statement. The best way to have this happen is with an outside facilitator. I'm a simple guy. I try to keep to one thought per sentence, so I do it like this. And this is what word killing gets you. So pause it, have a look at these two, and really honestly decide which one you like best and why. So, jargon. Now, the problem with jargon is not that it's jargon. It's that it's meaningless to the reader. Notice that this is an adjective. And in the strictest sense, we can do without it. The trouble with jargon, it's a word people don't know, like AMRAP, which is a fitness term that stands for as many reps as possible. But if I was writing for a regular audience, I need to define what it is when I first use it, or if possible, not use it at all. Or two, it's a word or phrase that's been so overused that it's lost all its meaning. Paradigm, for example. Synergy. At the end of the day. Win-win. Now understand, I think the idea behind the phrase win-win is tremendous. It's one of the best ideas ever. But until I had actually read 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, I thought it was horrible because everyone who I'd ever met in my life who'd used the phrase used it thoughtlessly, and it was clear that they weren't really after a win-win. Your homework. Find a bad piece of writing and round up the usual suspects. Cut out the adjectives, adverbs, and jargon. I'm willing to bet that you won't have to look very far. In fact, you'll probably come across it in your normal workday. And if you want, send it to me, and I'll give you feedback on how you did.